much iman. And I'm just amazed by the country of Bangladesh and the youth there. Like, and I've expressed this before. And like, they're willing to understand the bigger picture and not fall for the sectarianism or the nationalism, even though people are trying to propagandize them. The Hindutva, Hasina, the West, like they want to propagandize the Bangladeshis to be nationalistic, to be secular, to hate Pakistan. But the youth there are resisting that. They're saying, no, actually, we want unity with Pakistan. Yeah, there were atrocities committed, but that was a previous generation. Now the need of the hour is for unity. Let's not dwell on that. That's called maturity. That's called iman. That's called being Sunni. That's the essence of Sunnism, Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Like, part of the Sunnah is Jama'ah, wanting the group all together, coming together. Like, that's why it's Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Mesa, thanks for your super chat. Individuals and institutions made up the Ottoman Empire. If you're declaring them kafir, then you're declaring the Ottomans kafir too. Facepalm. Yeah, I mean, these are points that Adnan Rajit couldn't understand. Nutty Caller says, is anti-Iran sentiment fueled by Syrians in the UK? Yeah, they're a big part of it. Some of these free Syrian tards. A lot of them are in Canada too. And they're like, there's like a coordinated network. And some of them are connected to Zionists as well. But yeah, they're pretty quiet nowadays, given everything that's happening in Syria. Let's see. Abdul Nasser says, the horns of Shaitan rises from Nejd. Yep, that's what the Prophet ﷺ said. I think it's pretty clear what was being referred to. Fresh Pod says, what's your view on the Prophet ﷺ praying for Yemen and Sham, but not Nejd? Wahhabis say Nejd meant Iraq, although Iraq was known by name. They dancing around the hadith because it's against them. Yeah, their statement is stupid because in that hadith, the people who are from Nejd were there, and they're saying, well, make dua for the Nejd. The Prophet ﷺ was saying, may Allah bless Yemen, and may Allah bless our Sham. And then the Nejdis there at that time, the people from Nejd also are Nejd. May Allah bless our Nejd. And the Prophet ﷺ refused. So how was it Iraq? They weren't from Iraq who were asking the Prophet for that blessing. It was people from Nejd, from Arabia. So this is propaganda that, oh, Nejd means Iraq. Saya, thanks for your big super chat. Really appreciate it. Hold firmly to the rope of Allah altogether and do not become divided. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Come together and remember the favor of Allah upon you when you were enemies and He brought your hearts together and you became, by His favor, brothers. That's what we pray for. And this is what Allah calls to. The only people who disagree with this, with the Quran, it's the Wahhabis. Thank you, Parviz, for your super sticker. Jaxi says, how dare this sorry excuse of a human wish for Netanyahu to be in Jannah after massacring and starving our people? I am genuinely sick to my stomach. I hear you. That's how I feel too. Very sick to my stomach. I want a job in MS, 100K before tax. Yeah, we have, elite human capital at Muslim Skeptic, mashallah. So you have to be best of the best. Real Salafia says, please live with Al Islam Productions for sake of haqq. Yeah, I mean, they are challenging me to debate, these clowns, and I agreed. I agreed to debate, but they're saying, oh, no, it has to be in person. Why? Why does that have to be in person? You're in a different country. If you have it in person, debate with me. Fly over to the US. Okay, fly over, set it up. Okay, set up a nice venue, professionally recorded, and we'll do it. We'll have a live in-person debate. But if you're not willing to, put up that money, then it can just be on a live stream and have it moderated. Okay, some of these super chats I'm not gonna read because if you're gonna ask me to read like a a super chat that's gonna like go after someone or name someone, you have to give more than a couple of bucks, more than $5. Okay, you have to make it worth my while because I don't want to start getting into an entire different subject. Okay, so let's continue the stream. So people were saying that, oh, Daniel, you want unity, but you're so mean to the compassionate imams. If you want unity, that means you can't criticize anyone ever. Okay, this is what they seem to think. This is like a big gotcha against Daniel. And I explained it already. I said that these two groups, the compassionate imams and the Wahhabis, they're two sides of the same coin. They're both infiltrating. They're both damaging the interests of the Ummah. They're both violating the principles of Islam. And that's why we criticize them. We criticize them. Now, when it comes to their being Ahlul Bid'ah, okay, they have deviant views. Some of them might be deviants. Well, the Shia are deviants as well. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The Shia also have deviant beliefs. But the difference is, and this is hijab, like, invoke this kind of principle, the Shia are not in our masajid posing as Sunni imams and teaching the masses. The Wahhabis, on the other hand, they're in our masajid. They're posing as Ahlul Sunnah, but they're actually deviant Wahhabis, okay, preaching the deviant principles of takfir and shirk of Ibn Abdul Wahhab. And then you have the compassionate imams who are in the masajid posing as Sunni, conservative, orthodox imams, and they're pushing LGBT, they're pushing feminism, they're pushing like salvation for kuffar, like they're pushing all of these deviant ideas, perennialism. The Shia aren't doing that. So there's a difference, okay? There's a difference. One is posing a very serious threat to what is orthodox, what is considered orthodoxy and what is considered Islamic tradition. So here's this clown that I promised I would be roasting for you today. Let me just pull up the exact timestamp. Okay. So this is a bunch of Wahhabi Medkhali bootlickers who critiqued my discussion with Muhammad Hijab. Okay, so let's listen. And John Fontaine, this Medkhali bootlicker, is the one that we're going to focus on.
No, Akhi, let's leave it on a good note.
No. Let me give you an alternative perspective on this love fest. You want to talk about the compassionate imams like Omar Sulaiman, Mufti Imam, constantly filling up, like literally their classes are on the basis of depicting Muslim women as queens that have to be served. Okay, and I pointed out like their advertisements for their classes, like if you go on Facebook or social media, Instagram, like you are a queen, you're amazing, you have so much potential, just gassing up the Muslim women. So you might have a lot of love because they send you. Well, let me finish. So they might be saying nice things to you on WhatsApp, but
yeah. So the point here is that Muhammad Hijab gave a big list of some of the du'ats he was praising, but the point is Daniel is not in the business of unity at all. You understand?
Did you see his face? His face was hilarious the whole time. Every time he mentioned the name, he was like laughing.
He's not agreeing with this. He's not in the business of unity at all. And Muhammad Hijab quickly gets changed. Daniel quickly changes Muhammad Hijab's mind here. If we carry on to 3:50, okay, 3 hours and 50 minutes, when he finds out. When he finds out that Yaqeen Institute are getting 10 million plus pounds or dollars a year, he wants to refute them because they don't refute feminism, right? And in 355, the manhaj check for a da'i becomes whether you've refuted feminism or not, right? And at 416, he's shaming Mufti Menk for his silence on Israel, right? When Mufti Menk has a Zimbabwean passport, like he's already banned, and he's already banned from like 50 countries as it is. So the manhaj check for Muhammad Hijab seems to.
Oh, so Mufti Menk has a Zimbabwean passport and he's banned from countries, so therefore he shouldn't have to criticize Israel. Like, look at that. That's the kind of logic of a Medkhali bootlicker. Like, no. You can be a world famous imam making millions of dollars, okay, and flying first class and getting wined and dined and everywhere, like meeting up with rabbis, like having the red carpet rolled out by the UAE or Saudi or whoever, okay, with millions of followers. You're like promoted in the algorithm. And you don't have to like actually take a stand on Israel and criticize Israel, like, because you might not get access to other countries. You might be banned. Like that kind of selling out makes sense to a bootlicker like John Fontaine. Like that's his whole defense, that he has a problem with me calling out Mufti Menk in this way, on this point. So
to be that if you don't refute feminism and you don't speak against Israel, then we can refute you. We're not doing unity with you. Whereas the correct Islamic position, which we're promoting, is based on Aqidah. And of course, and even in that circumstance, we can still unite in certain circumstances with Muslims who may have wrong Aqidas in certain aspects. So,
yeah, except for Shia, except for Iran, right? So you can ally with. First of all, he denies that like we unite on the basis of aqidah. Okay, this is what like the Wahhabis say. Okay, feminism has nothing to do with aqidah, according to this retard. Actually, it does. Actually, it does. Okay, if you're contradicting what Allah says in the Quran, when Allah says "Al-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa," for example. And Allah is saying that the man is the head of the household and is in charge of women and is the leader of women. And you have feminists who are problematizing that, denying that, feminists who are now increasingly denying hadith, they're denying tafsir because it's a male scholar, okay? You have feminists who are allied with the compassionate imams who say, my Allah is a she. Right? Rashida Tlaib, famous Palestinian feminist politician in the US, congresswoman in the US that Omar Soleiman features, Yaqeen features. They have conferences where they're side by side. She's invited to, or was in the past, I don't know if she is anymore, invited to these Islamic conferences. She says, my Allah is a she. Do you think that has anything to do with Aqidah? John Fontaine, you retard? You Medkhali retard? Do you think that has anything to do with Aqidah? My Allah is a she. Okay, denying the Quran, denying like the epistemology of Islam because it's gendered, it's male focused. You think that has anything to do with Aqidah, you retard? Or is Aqidah just the pamphlet you read, Kitab al-Tawheed, from Ibn Abdul Wahhab, that ISIS terrorist in the middle of Najd? Like that's all that Aqidah is about, right? That pamphlet that you probably didn't even read the whole thing. I don't think you're that literate to read 5 pages of a pamphlet. You think Aqidah extends beyond just that pamphlet of Kitab al-Tawheed, dumbass? Anyway, excuse my language. So this is Aqidah. Like, we unite on Aqidah, meaning Kitab al-Tawheed. And the compassionate imams know that, okay? The compassionate imams, you've noticed, okay, they're really soft with the Wahhabis. They don't talk about Wahhabism like I do. They don't talk about Ibn Abdul Wahhab like I do. They don't say that they come out and say he's a Khariji. Like, they dance around that. They tippy-toe around that. They're not going to take a hard stance because they want to be, in the good graces of the Wahhabis. They don't want the Wahhabis to descend upon them and start attacking them. So they're careful about that. And they know that the Wahhabis, especially the Medkhali bootlickers, okay, are not going to have a problem with the feminist project, with the liberalism project, with the secularism project. They know that, okay? Omar Soleiman knows that. Yaqeen knows that. Why? Because the Saudi establishment, okay, the center of Medkhalism and Wahhabism, has a secularizing project, Vision 2030. The Saudi government is literally pushing secularism and feminism, Saudi Halloween, Saudi Christmas, perennialism, the Abrahamic religion. They're literally pushing that. They're literally pushing a liberalization of Saudi society. And they know that these Madkhali bootlickers are not going to start criticizing that. They're not going to say, and they're very conveniently going to say, oh, but this is feminism. It's, yeah, we don't agree with all this, but let's focus on Aqidah. Let's focus on Aqidah. Your distortion of what Aqidah consists in. Your distortion of Aqidah. Oh, it just means what, Ibn Abdul Wahhab wrote in this pamphlet, Kitab al-Tawheed. That's all Aqidah is. So yeah, this is the game that compassionate imams play. They know that they can't have a straight up conflict with Ibn Abdul Wahhab and the Wahhabi. So they avoid it, and they bring some of these Wahhabi people into their institutions, as we'll see.
We can go to see this if you want, but I've just given people the timestamps there, where they can go back and check that 3 hours 50 is when he finds out Yaqeen has 10 million, and he wants a piece of the money. And that seems to be because, they're not refuting feminism, which he views as the number one problem for Muslims leaving Islam, which we've already established and spoke about today. The number one problem is not conveying the correct Islam, not giving the correct dawah to the youth.
Not spreading Kitab al-Tawheed. That's the number one problem facing the Ummah. The number one problem facing the Ummah is that the teenager, in the middle of New York City, doesn't understand that if you do istighatha, that's shirk. That's the number one problem. They don't have the right aqidah. They haven't memorized Kitab al-Tawheed. That's the number one problem facing the Ummah. If we just all united behind the pamphlet of Kitab al-Tawheed, all the problems would go away. Look at these people. Look at this scum. This bootlicking scum. Imagine. Feminism is not a problem. Like, when Hijab says that, because in my conversation with Hijab, alhamdulillah, he came around and he saw the point that I was making, that someone like Yaqeen institution is taking 10 million per year, and they don't have any kind of sustained critique of feminism, any kind of sustained project to debunk feminism, secularism, liberalism, any kind of sustained project to even get into Judaism. Let's look at the Talmud, any sustained project to actually debunk Wahhabism. They don't spend their money on those kinds of, the 10 million. 10 million is for stories that make you feel good and make like the 20-year-old turban hijabi feel warm and fuzzy inside. Like, that's what 10 million is for, like storytelling. Oh, I feel so good listening to Omar Sulaiman. Oh, that was so inspiring. Like, that's what $10 million is for. It's not actually for confronting these issues, these problems. Okay? It's, say, Free Palestine. Okay, remember the screenshot? It says Free Palestine, but then run cover for all of these degeneracies, all of this ideology, because otherwise you're going to alienate people. We don't want to alienate people. We want to push anyone away from Islam. Oh, is your concern really not pushing anyone away from Islam, or your concern is that you don't want to alienate people from giving you $10 million? The $10 million rolling in. Don't say anything that might threaten or jeopardize the 10 million that's being rolled in. Which one is it? So anyway, Yaqeen, with their 10 million, Hijab has a problem. And in the stream, you can go watch it. He has some very harsh words for Yaqeen Institute. They're not living up to their responsibilities. If they claim to be a think tank, which they initially did, but I think they moved away from that when they realized that they were getting called out for the cowards that they are, for the deviants that they are.
It's not feminism. It's not atheism. It's having the wrong understanding of Islam in the first place. If you have a correct, solid grounding in Islam, you can bring whatever you like. You can refute all the isms and schisms that there is. So I just wanted to mention that because,
yeah, if you know that tawassul is shirk, and calling on, like, at the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, calling to the Prophet ﷺ with the intention that Allah is going to grant you something. If you don't know that that's clear-cut shirk and that whoever does that is a mushrik, if you know that that's the case, then you can solve everything. Like, you can solve all the problems of the ummah. Like, that's the missing link, basically. That this is the missing link, the linchpin of all of our problems as ummah. Like, imagine how delusional you have to be, like how retarded you have to be. Istighatha, something that 99% of you had never heard of before these Wahhabi apes started attacking me for it. These cockroaches. That's the linchpin of the solutions for the ummah. Imagine.
Hijab's whole point is unity. Daniel doesn't want any of it, and the unity we want is based on is arbitrary unity, which Muhammad Hijab chooses. In this instance, is whether you've refuted feminism or not, and it's just ridiculous. The fact that he can, come after Muslims like ourselves who are basically just calling to people to come back to the correct basic Islam. It's just shocking.
The correct basic Islam under the Saudi government, the correct Islam under whatever MBS and the Saudi royal family says, like, and never criticize that. Never criticize that. That's because that's contrary to the correct aqidah. Okay, that's literally the Medkhali bootlicker position of these apes. Okay, so why am I so hostile to John Fontaine? Some of you might be wondering. Okay. First of all, some of you don't know who this loser even is. That's fine. Like, he's not something important enough for you to know. But I have a history with him. And the reason is he requested to interview me for his dinky little podcast. And I thought to myself, like, okay, this loser, do I want to waste my time talking for this like small channel? It's a waste of my time. But look, I care about having good relations with Muslims. He seems like a good brother. He seems like he's doing good work. I don't care about the numbers. Sure, I'll take some time, 2 hours to get ready, do an interview, no problem. Okay, I'm a charitable guy. What can I say? And that's why I go on a lot of these different channels and talk to different people, because that's fine. I'm happy to talk to people. So then we have over an hour interview, talk to him. And then it doesn't get published. He doesn't publish it. Okay, he doesn't publish the interview. I say, what's the deal? What's the deal here? I thought you were going to publish. And he says, no, I'm not going to publish it. Like, well, why? And then, so basically what had happened is that his sheikh, okay, what he calls his sheikh, is a director for Yaqeen Institute. And at that time, I had come out with my review article of Yaqeen Institute, okay, which is on muslimskeptic.com. It's still there. It was published 7 years ago. You can still read it. And that review article it's like 50,000 words. It has at that point, was all the crazy nonsense that Yaqeen was publishing. Okay, pro-feminism, pro-LGBT, pro-evolution. Okay, all of the nonsense that they were promoting. Okay, and they were affiliated with they had like lesbian writers working for them. Okay, actual self-proclaimed lesbians were writing not one article, not 2 articles, 3 articles for Yas Queer Institute. Okay, that's why they got the name Yas Queer Simstitute, because they literally have lesbian authors. Okay, they've scrubbed everything, by the way. They've scrubbed everything, and I'm going to show you some of that today. They scrubbed everything. They never thanked me. They never thanked me that I pointed out all of their deviance, all of their garbage, because that's what they really wanted to do. They really wanted to push the Muslim community into that direction of liberalization, accepting feminism, and this was part of a political program. And the history of that is a very long history, but basically these compassionate imams were deputized by the Democratic Party, by literally Barack Obama, by Barack Obama, to push moderate Islam through CVE. And the Yaqeen directors and advisors and board of directors included literal CVE architects, people who were involved with the creation of countering violent extremism with the Department of Homeland Security, with the FBI, with the Obama administration. They were literally appointed by Barack Obama for this purpose. They were directors of Yaqeen, like Dalia Mugahed. Dalia Mugahed, okay, who to this day is in conferences on the same panel with Omar Suleiman. She was one of the directors of Yaqeen Institute, on the board of directors, board of advisors. Yasser Qadi is another one. Literally, it's a CVE architect. For those of you who don't know what CVE is, in the UK it's called Prevent. Okay, it's this idea that what is radical Islam? Basically, if you're a conservative Muslim, you believe that women should cover themselves. You believe in the Sharia. You believe that Islam should have a part to play in Islamic government so that Muslims have sovereignty, and an Islamic government, a khilafah, like you are a radical, you are an extremist, and you're on the conveyor belt, basically, to extremism and violence. And so we have to undermine that. The government has to undermine that, has to undercut that. And we have to have like a police state that's monitoring the beliefs of Muslims. And this is part of a larger liberal strategy that goes to the beginning of the colonial period and the European colonial invasion of the Muslim world, beginning with Napoleon, okay, at the end of the 18th century up until today, post-independence up until today. It's a long history, and obviously I've been speaking about it for 15 years of dawah, but Yasser Qadi was a part of that. Yasser Qadi, Dalia Mugahed was a part of that. Yaqeen Institute was a part of that. Okay? So I have my review. I'm bringing up all of this nonsense, all of this trash. It goes viral. Yaqeen comes in under a lot of heat. And then, back to John Fontaine. He says, yeah, my sheikh says that you're a liar, that you've lied about Yaqeen. And he interviewed, and he did a podcast with John Fontaine. And John Fontaine, because Yaqeen, or he did a podcast with Tahir Wyatt, who is the director at Yaqeen. Yaqeen launched a smear campaign against Daniel. Okay, you've heard of the Wahhabi bots. Okay, you've heard of the Wahhabi bootlicker bots. There's also Compassionate Imam bots. There's also Yes Queer Simstitute bots. And they're flooding social media. Daniel is a liar. Daniel is a liar. Daniel has lied about us. Okay, the same things that the Wahhabis do, the same thing that Rajit does. They just, instead of actually addressing the point, when they're caught red-handed, the only defense that they have is, oh, you're a liar. Okay, and this is something that we know the hypocrites do and the shayateen do. So then they have an interview, okay, on his dinky little podcast, and he publishes this, just nonstop smear. Like, this is actual over an hour, and it's just like trashing me. So I want to just play some of this.
And I was...
So this is Tahir Wyatt. Tahir Wyatt is a graduate of the Islamic University of Medina. He claims, I think he's the first American to get a PhD from the Islamic University of Medina. Like, this was back in 2016 or 2015. He's a Medkhali bootlicker, okay? Carrying water for the Saudi state, basically. The Saudi government doesn't give PhDs and that kind of recognition to someone unless they're a bootlicking slave of the royal family and the Saudi government, okay? And if he's not that, I dare him to publicly criticize the Saudi government, okay? As far as I know, it doesn't exist. He's a bootlicker, just like John Fontaine. This is the sheikh of John Fontaine, and he's a director at Yaqeen Institute. And that's actually the strategic genius of Yaqeen Institute and Omar Suleiman. Omar Suleiman strategically brings in people, figures from every group, okay, from every strain. He brings in the Madkhalis. He brings in the Deobandis. He brings in the feminist academics. He brings in the Ikhwanis, okay? He has a representation in his organization, so those organizations will stay silent and won't criticize Yaqeen. It's pretty brilliant, right? And that's the way that someone who's very diplomatic operates for the success of your organization. It's something that I could never do. It's something that I can never do because I'm honest. Like when I don't agree with something, I say it openly. I'm transparent in how I feel, and it's very hard for me to lie to someone. If I don't like someone, it's very obvious that I don't like them. If I don't agree with someone, it's very obvious. Okay? And so I can never be diplomatic in the way that Omar Suleiman and yes, Queer Substitute is. But this is a person, they bring in the Madkhali contingent because they know if they bring in Tahir Wyatt, then all of these Madkhalis who would otherwise love to criticize Yaqeen for all their liberal garbage, all their feminist garbage, they're going to stay quiet. They're going to stay quiet because one of our own is a director there. You see how it works? So anyway, this is what Tahir Wyatt has to say about Daniel.
I'm very disappointed. I'll be honest with you. I was very disappointed because I have spoken with Daniel before once. I don't have like any long-standing relationship with him, but I don't have a bad relationship with him or anything like that. So I was disappointed by what I saw to be academic dishonesty, like a lack of integrity, in fact, in presenting the information. So
in my criticism of Yaqeen, I have academic dishonesty and I lack integrity. Okay, I'm a liar.
And I'll give you some examples because these ones I actually know. Now, I mean, if there's some specific claims that you think need to be addressed, then you can ask me maybe. But I'll give you an example. There was a paper that was written about evolution, but not human evolution from Adam and Eve, right? Anyway, long story short.
He can barely like describe what the paper is. Okay, and he just says human evolution, but not from Adam and Eve. Anyway, like wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Can we just pause there? Human evolution, not from Adam and Eve. Okay, so the paper he's referring to is an argument that published by Yaqeen, by David Jalajil, that Muslims can accept human evolution from apes. We can accept human evolution from apes, basically, a pre-hominid ape, and there's nothing in Islam that contradicts that. Imagine this, okay? You're trying to normalize and make acceptable the theory of evolution when it comes to human beings, that human beings were evolved from pre-hominids, and that doesn't contradict our theology. It doesn't contradict the Quran. It doesn't contradict hadith. Imagine that. That was what the paper was about. And so I slammed that. I slammed Yaqeen. Why are you publishing this trash? Why are you trying to normalize evolutionary theory for the Muslims as if this is acceptable with Orthodox Islam, and putting this kind of sophistry from David Jalajil, this deviant, pushing that onto the Muslims, whitewashing this trash? Yeah, I went postal on that article. Okay, and we had like on Muslim Skeptic, we had like a full refutation of everything that's wrong with it. Okay, that came later. So this is what Tahir Wyatt is defending right now. This is what Tahir Wyatt is defending. Oh, the guy who cares so much about Aqidah. Oh, and John Fontaine is the one who's interviewing him. I don't know why the sound, it was like a remote interview, so the sound quality is really bad. But, they care so much about Aqidah, guys. They care so much about Aqidah, but an article that's literally proposing some newfangled evolutionary theory of human origins, that doesn't concern Aqidah, obviously. So, the ruler MBS hasn't said there's anything wrong with it, so it's fine, I guess.
The paper itself I hadn't initially read, but I saw the line where Daniel quotes the author saying that Adam and Eve are, mythical figures or something along those lines, right? So basically, his claim is that the Yaqeen Institute, he says, for example, on this particular post, that, do you know that the Yaqeen Institute says that Adam and Eve are mythical figures? And I was like, that's cool. Like, let's not sugarcoat. if we say that Adam and Eve, who are Adam is specifically mentioned in the Quran, and Adam and Eve, who are specifically mentioned in Sunnah of the Prophet, if we say that they are mythical figures, that's cool. So I went back to the article, and I was astonished, because what the author actually said was, if one were to argue that Adam and Eve are, mythical figures, okay? Basically, he's saying, then that would invalidate their argument that says that science can disprove their existence, right? So this is what the author is saying. Not only is he saying, for argument's sake, he actually puts "if" at the beginning of his sentence. In the quote, if you look at the article that's published against Yaqeen, they cut off the "if" and capitalize the letter of the next word, making it look like that is the beginning of the sentence. Okay, so even if you're quoting, if you're quoting somebody else and they have a capital letter and you want to put it in the beginning of your sentence, right? Then you have to put that in between brackets. Or if they have a lowercase letter and you want to put it at the beginning of the sentence, then you have to put that in brackets to indicate, that you're quoting. No, erase the entire word "if," okay? And then capitalize the next letter and cut off the end of the sentence to make it look like the author was saying that Adam and Eve are mythical figures. That is dishonest. And the reason why it was really disappointing to me is because this is being done in the name of preserving the deen, of protecting Islam. Since when did we protect Islam with lies? So, look, it's even so deep, and I have a few other things I need to say about this topic, because it is. All
right, so this accusing me of lies, being dishonest. So when this came out, I did a defense. I defended what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He didn't even read the article, apparently. Okay, it's clear that he didn't read the article, or if he read it, he didn't understand it. Because if you understand it, you would be shocked by what is being argued by this deviant, okay? You'd be shocked that you're trying to whitewash and normalize evolutionary theory of human beings, okay? So he has no clue what he's talking about, and he's trying to get me on a technicality, like, oh, you made it seem like this is what he was saying, and you capitalized the "if," and this is dishonest, you're lying, and all in the name of preserving the deen. Okay, so he's just dumping on me, and that, this monkey, just nodding his, Daniel's dishonest, yeah. Okay. So, you didn't even read the paper. You didn't even read you don't even know what kind of nonsense deviance is being spread in this paper. If you did, you wouldn't, come out and put your name in defending it. Tahir Wyatt or John Fontaine. Okay, so what did the actual article say? Let's go and read the actual article from Yaqeen. Okay, I think we should go read it. Don't you think? Let's see. Where is this article? Oh, here it is. Dr. David Solomon Jelajil. Okay, on Yaqeen Institute. And let's see. It's a better view than this is. This one. Okay, this is, let me show you the URL so you can go check it yourself and not claim that there's any funny business going on. Okay, there it is, yaqeeninstitute.org, paper, there's the URL here. Actually, I don't know if I can expand that. But this is, if you Google this, Tawaqquf and Acceptance of Human Evolution. It's right there in the title. It's right there in the title, guys. Acceptance of Human Evolution. So if Tahir Wyatt and John Fontaine, they can't be bothered to read an academic essay, just read the title and see if any alarm bells go off for you. Okay? Can Muslims accept the scientific account of human evolution even while remaining faithful to the traditional understanding of Adam and Eve's unique manner of creation? Question mark. Okay? This was published originally in 2018. Okay? Oh, but look. Oh, no. Where is the article, guys? Where is the article? Oh no! Oh, the article is not here! What happened? Oh no! The article is not available for us to read. What happened? Oh, okay, let's see this. Let's see this note. Okay, August 2022. The interview that they were doing was from 2019 with Tahir Wyatt. Okay, so let me bring this here. This paper has been archived based on the recommendation of Yaqeen Institute's newly appointed editorial review board, whose task is to continually review our past publications and bring them up to date with our standards. We remain open to publishing robust treatments of the challenge posed by the science and ideology of evolution, which are themselves evolving and being actively revised in the academy. So, do you see what happened there? Okay, so they have a newly appointed editorial review board in 2022 that decided that, this article needs to be archived, guys. I wonder why. I wonder why you deleted this article from your record. And we archived it. Oh, is there an archive? You have a physical archive there in Dallas of Yaqeen articles? We've archived it. No, you deleted it. You deleted it off your website. Okay, you delete, just like you deleted my articles, actually, except you deleted my articles not because there's any problem with my articles debunking evolution, by the way. You deleted my articles because I criticized Yes Queer Simstitute. That's why you deleted my articles. But you let this trash promoting human evolution onto your site, and then you defended it, and then you sent your ape Tahir Wyatt and your ape John Fontaine to attack me and call me a liar. And now, looky, you've taken it down, and you've left this humiliating note that, on the recommendation of our editorial review board, we have to bring them up to date to our standards. So your standards, this article did not meet them, correct? Why? Is it because the article was un-Islamic? Is it contrary to Islam? What standards did it not meet, actually? They don't say. Why not? Why? What standards there do you got there, Yaqeen? Yes, queer? What standards? They're not up to date. Did evolutionary science change? In the past, like since it was published, like the 4 years that it was published, it suddenly changed? And it's no longer relevant? Like, this is disgusting. Disgusting. Again, hypocrisy. You called me a liar. You trashed my name. Okay? John Fontaine. I confronted John Fontaine. Just a couple of years ago, I saw John Fontaine in purpose. I had a confrontation with him, that lowlife. And I said, like, remember when you trashed the interview that we did? He said, well, my sheikh said that you're a liar. I said, well, did you confirm? Like, did you actually speak to me? Did you speak to me and confirm in advance? Did you actually, before you made a determination on that, did you get both sides of the story? You actually do your due diligence? Like, we had a personal contact. You could have asked me. You talked to me for over an hour, interviewed me. You could have said, hey, by the way, Daniel, on WhatsApp or whatever, hey, by the way, Daniel, Yaqeen says that you're a liar. You have a response to that? Like, you want to make your point? Like, what should I make of this, Daniel? Like, you didn't even have the courtesy to do that, to do like basic due diligence. You just accepted. And he said that. He's like, well, my sheikh said it. My sheikh just said that you're a liar. And you lied about it. Okay. Okay, that's not in Islam. Just our principles of justice aren't, just because someone I like said something, just because my friend or my teacher said something, that's the truth. Just because my teacher accused you of being a liar, that's the truth. That's not our standard in Islam. I don't think your sheikh is really teaching you Islam very well. maybe you need to get a different teacher, maybe someone who's not like a bootlicking slave of the Saudi royal family. Maybe you haven't learned Islam properly. Like, that's the problem. So yeah, I said that, and the sniveling moron didn't have a response to that. So yeah, there's your Yaqeen article, okay? That you were calling me a liar on the basis of some technicality, but the Yaqeen editorial review board, after I had many years campaigning against Yaqeen, pointing out this trash that they have been promoting, they quietly archive it. They archived it. The article about human evolution, how we can accept human evolution. Instead of accepting that, no, Allah created Adam alayhi salam, and from his rib he created Hawa, his mate. Instead of accepting the explicit nas of the Quran and the Sunnah, no, we can accept human evolution. That we evolved from pre-hominids, from apes. Okay. Yeah, that article, that the Sunni, they have the proper Aqidah, guys. They have the proper Aqidah. They have Tawheed. They have Tawheed, the proper Aqidah. We can accept that. We can have Tahir Wyatt shilling for that. We have John Fontaine shilling for that. Published by David Jalajil. We can shill for that and defend that and go on a public campaign to call the critics of that liars and dishonest and having some kind of grudge or whatever other nonsense he was spewing. That's the correct Aqidah, guys. These are the Wahhabis. These are the Wahhabis and the compassionate Imams working hand in hand. Okay? Working hand in hand. The Wahhabis, John Fontucky, okay, and Tahir Wyatt, okay, they carry water for the compassionate Imams. They say, oh, our Wahhabi brethren, don't go after Omar Suleiman. Don't go after Yaqeen Institute. Don't go. They have the correct Aqidah. Trust us. They have the correct Aqidah. They love Ibn Abdul Wahhab. Really. That's how they defend Omar Suleiman. Yeah, he has the correct Aqidah, guys. So anything else, yeah, he might make some wrong decisions and he has some questionable associations, but he has the right Aqidah, guys. He's on good terms with the Saudi government. It's fine. You think I'm joking? You think I'm exaggerating? Go ahead and call me a liar. The truth, Allah will expose it. If I'm lying, Allah will expose it. If others are lying, Allah will expose it, either in this life or the next. Okie dokie. Yeah. Oh, so conveniently archived. We won't say why it was archived. We remain open to publishing robust treatments. Oh, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Okay. Let's go. Okay, so that's John Fontucky, Medkhali bootlicker. Oh, the correct Aqidah. It's such a farce. All right, but now there's something else that I need to correct. Okay, and I don't have the same animosity towards this person. Okay, I think this is a person who just made some mistakes, and hopefully now he sees the light. But I need to clear the record. Okay, so this originated from Hayrat Show, actually, because a super chatter asked about Dr. Shadi al-Masri. Okay, Shadi al-Masri, and he's not a Wahhabi, and I don't want to put him with the compassionate Imams, but there was a period of time where he was, working hand in hand with them, and he defended them a lot. Unfortunately. And he turned his animosity towards me in that period. Okay. And so then I was commenting on this. I was giving this history on Hayrat Show. And then Dr. Shadi responded to it. So let's look at that response.
Right. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think in the light of time, people now recognize that, yeah, what these compassionate Imams were promoting at that time, and still to a certain extent are promoting to this day, are extreme. They're extremely detrimental to the Ummah, and they're extremely contrary to Islam. when your organization literally promotes LGBT rights and says Muslims can support many LGBT rights, including gay marriage. And this is what Yaqeen Institute was promoting at that time, because they wanted to ingratiate the Muslim community, especially in the West, with the Democratic Party, the left wing. And so they're pushing, abortion, literally abortion. And they're pushing Planned Parenthood at Yaqeen Institute, pushing LGBT rights, pushing gay marriage. And Jonathan Brown is the paper that was promoting this for Yaqeen Institute, Omar Suleiman's Yaqeen Institute. And Shadi al-Masri was defending Jonathan Brown, like defending him, like this is a valid ikhtilaf. Like
no. Hold on a second. Go pull it up. No, I didn't defend it. That's a substantive mistake. I didn't hear this yesterday. Maybe because I was out ice skating with my kids in Bryant Park in New York. Right. That's when I was sort of listening to it, right? But that's actually substantively wrong. I literally said there is no defense for this idea. It's not a valid ikhtilaf. That is not a valid ikhtilaf. So that's a substantive mistake that he needs to retract. If anybody could find that Yaqeen, it's not on the website anymore, but because Jonathan Brown himself doesn't believe in it anymore. But that's not on the record. That's something he told me privately. So
yeah, spoiler alert, it's not on the website anymore. Okay, so Shadi, again, like I respect Dr. Shadi. I think he has a lot of good takes. He has a podcast, Safina Society, has students. They do good work, and he's very knowledgeable, mashallah. Recently, like some of these Wahhabis tried to harass him, like they're privately calling him, and he has like 25 minutes talking to this Wahhabi kid, and he's schooling this Wahhabi who's just so rude and vile, and basically accusing Dr. Shadi of being a mushrik. And you could see in that conversation that it's like a PhD professor talking to like an elementary school child. So his just off the cuff knowledge of Islam, mashallah, he's very knowledgeable in these things. And even beyond, like he brings in politics, he brings in like a lot of popular narratives, etc. Like he can talk to the youth. So I have a lot of good things to say about Dr. Shadi. But here he's wrong. He says that Daniel has made a substantive error and Daniel needs to retract. Okay. And I wouldn't comment upon this other than the fact that some people have been like contacting me and saying, Daniel, you're wrong. Daniel, why'd you lie about Dr. Shadi? Shame on you. You really need to correct your mistake, Daniel. I'm like, correct my what mistake? And they're like, well, Dr. Shadi said you made a mistake. Like, okay, well, did you like verify that? Did you actually verify? Or if you don't want to verify, you don't have the time, instead of taking his side and accusing me of lying, ask and say, Dr. Shadi said this. Is that true? Like, what do you say to that? How about that? Like, how about just like, why are you automatically taking his side? That's what I don't understand. Like, why are you automatically taking his side? That's not justice. Like, you should just determine the truth. And one of the minimum things that you can do to determine the truth is to get two sides of the story. So anything that I say, anything that I claim about anyone, you don't have to take my word for it. Okay? Go do your own due diligence. If you think I'm wrong, challenge me for receipts. No problem. And that's part of the reason why I'm always willing to talk to anyone. I invited Dr. Shadi for a conversation and he did not accept that invitation. Okay, no problem. You don't have to talk to me. And that's fine. You're busy. There are a million reasons why someone wouldn't want to talk to me. No problem. But I always invite people. I always have that open invitation for Wahhabis, for compassionate imams, for Omar Suleiman himself, for yes, queer substitute people themselves, because I'm not afraid of the truth. I'm not afraid of transparency. Someone who's a liar, someone who's lying doesn't want to have an open, fair conversation with receipts. Anyway, so did I lie? Or did I make, he didn't say I lied. He said I made a substantive error, okay? But others are saying that Daniel lied and he needs to apologize. Okay, well, let's go back to the historical record. What had happened with this article is that Jonathan Brown, okay, this was back in 2017, I believe. He had published this article that Muslims should support many LGBT rights. He explicitly says that Muslims should support gay marriage. And he was defending this. The article defends this. And then Shadi, so Yaqeen didn't want to just publish this by itself because they knew they're going to get a lot of backlash for that. Okay, so Yaqeen knew that. Why are they even publishing such trash in the first place? Okay, because like I said, they wanted to get Muslims to get on board with the Democratic Party, to vote for Democrats and to oppose the Republicans, to oppose Donald Trump, etc., to continue the left-wing momentum from Barack Obama. Okay, that was the whole point. They wanted to get Muslims behind Hillary Clinton in 2016, and then in the midterms in 2018, they wanted a Muslim push in some, because there are a lot of Muslims in some of these swing states. So the Democratic Party strategically realized that we need to get Muslims on board. The problem is Muslims are conservative in their social values. They're conservative in their social values, and we're more progressive than we've ever been. Like, we're more woke than we've ever been. We're like doing these pride parades. We're saying that there is no such thing as two genders. Like, so how do you reconcile that? How do you get a socially conservative demographic, the Muslims, to start supporting us when we're in your face woke? We need the religious leadership. We need to bring in these imams, these moderates, okay, the people that like Barack Obama, to come and speak at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention. They brought Sherman Jackson, okay, Professor Sherman Jackson. Let's have Omar Soleiman like give a prayer. Let's bring in Dalia Mugahed, who was already appointed in the Obama administration. Let's like push out these figureheads. They're religious figures, and they're going to preach this message to get the Muslims, to get this demographic, to American Muslims, to start supporting democratic causes, to rally behind the Democratic Party. And they did that. They did that very successfully, unfortunately. Look at how much simping there was for someone like Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or Bernie Sanders or all of this trash. The Muslims in America were successfully psyoped. And part of the psyop was Omar Soleiman and Yes Queer Simstitute. And part of that psyop was articles like Jonathan Brown saying, yeah, Muslims can and should support many LGBT rights, including gay marriage. And to this day, you have American Muslims who are passionate advocates of gay marriage. And they're going to the masjid, okay? These are masjid-going Muslims. That's the shocking thing. And it's Jonathan Brown, it's Yaqeen Institute, and it's Shadi al-Masri. So they knew they couldn't just publish an article that says Muslims should support many LGBT rights and leave it at that. Okay, we'll bring in an interlocutor, someone who's going to argue the other point. And so they have Shadi al-Masri. What Shadi al-Masri does in his article, he says that Muslims cannot support these things. Muslims cannot support LGBT rights and gay marriage. And people are like, okay, well, what's the problem with that? What's the problem? First of all, it gives Yaqeen Institute plausible deniability. Because anytime someone says that, well, Yaqeen, you're promoting gay marriage and LGBT rights, they're going to no. We published Dr. Shadi's article who says we shouldn't support that. So we're good. It's plausible deniability. You publish both sides, you muddy the waters, basically, to give yourself plausible deniability. But in the minds of Muslims, you give them the license. You give conservative religious Muslims the license to support Democrats, to support LGBT, to support this gender nonsense. You give them the license to accept that and to spread that. And it's already Muslims who are already under massive social pressure to go with the woke tide, to go with the rainbow. You're giving them the lifeline to, I can accept LGBT and be a religious practicing Muslim. Thank you, Yaqeen Institute. And by Dr. Shadi participating in that obvious ploy, you're helping them. You're helping them advance this kind of plausible deniability. Whereas your position should have been, I'm not participating in this trash. I'm not allowing you to whitewash this trash, to give respectability to this trash. That's what Dr. Shadi should have said. So just by the very nature of your participation in this ploy, that's a problem in and of itself. And your participation already gives it allows Yaqeen to argue that this is an area of ijtihad. This is an area of ikhtilaf. This is an area where our scholars have differed. You're lending credence to that. You're lending believability to that. When it's not the case. There is no ikhtilaf on this. What Jonathan Brown is saying is demonstrably, categorically false. Muslims cannot support LGBT. It's not a matter of debate. It's not a matter of debate. It's not a matter of ikhtilaf. It's not something that should be respected. It's not something that should be promoted. That's like someone publishing, just to use an extreme example, someone publishing, Muslims can support Zionism. And then publishing at the same, imagine, Muslim skeptic, okay, we publish an article, Muslims can support Zionism, the idea that Jews have a divine right to the land of Quds and Sham, Philistine, they have a divine right. And then we publish another article that says, no, Muslims cannot support Zionism. And then people criticize, well, how are you publishing a pro-Zionist, pro-Judeo-Muslim article on your site? Like, no, I have the rebuttal. I have the rebuttal right here. You can't accuse me. You would have a problem not only with me publishing such filth, you have a problem with whatever person is legitimating the exercise by submitting the rebuttal. Okay? And that was my problem with Dr. Shadi. That was my critique of him at that time. And that's the point I was making in Hayrat Show, in the live stream. But he says, no, I've made a substantive error. Okay? So what is the error? You're presenting this as a debate. So the other problem, actually, is that Yaqeen is constraining the bounds of debate. Is that really the two sides? We support LGBT or we don't? Is that really the two sides of the discussion on LGBT? And that's the psyop. That's the kind of trick that's being done to you. Is that, no, those aren't the two sides. The other side that's not being mentioned by Yaqeen and is not being represented by any article is that Muslims should oppose LGBT rights. Just like many of these Christians. Muslims should actively oppose the normalization of homosexuality and LGBT and transgenderism in society. Muslims should be actively opposed to that and vote against that. That is the other end of the spectrum. That is the antithesis to Jonathan Brown's position. But Yaqeen doesn't represent that. They don't have an article on that. They have an article that just says be neutral, we can't support. That's what Shadi wrote. So they're basically shifting the Overton window in a way that is very politically convenient for the Democratic Party, who they're aligned with, who they're working for. Do you see this? And I spilt so much ink trying to explain this in articles, in videos for years. And who else is talking about this psyop? Who else is talking about this? But Daniel's a liar. I wish I weren't the only one. I wish I weren't, but show me who else. Daniel's obsessed. Daniel's obsessed with this. You're getting psyoped, my brother. My brother in Islam, you are getting psyoped. My sister in Islam, you are getting psyoped. There's a political agenda here that is manipulating your understanding of Islam. And you don't realize it. And when I come and tell you and I explain it, you call me a liar. So, anyway, this is the past, but it needs to be repeated because some of these trends are are reviving themselves, like the pro-LGBT stuff, the pro-feminism stuff, the compassionate imam stuff. Like, it's being revived and it's having a resurgence because of Free Palestine. Because of Free Palestine, and Muslims are saying that, oh, well, I see a lot of liberals who are in support of Palestine and they're now embracing the same garbage again. So that's why there's an extra urgency to talk about it. Okay, so this is, Dr. Shadi says it was a substantive error that I made. So let's look at the receipts. This is the article, okay? And this is what he says. This is what Dr. Shadi says. I thank and commend Dr. Jonathan Brown for inviting me to respond to his article. Within certain parameters, the scholars of the past compartmentalized their differences, and so as their students, we ought to imitate them. I believe this pair of articles represents a good exercise and example in civil discussion, debate, and disagreement. Okay, so what do you get from that? So I already explained that just by participating in this exercise, the framing of it and the way that Yaqeen bots and Yaqeen apologists frame this whole thing is that it's just ikhtilaf. Like, you have the scholar, Dr. Jonathan Brown, and the scholar, Dr. Shadi, and they have a disagreement. They disagree and they're debating it. And we respect both sides. We respect both sides. We respect ikhtilaf. Right? So that's implicit. But he also makes it explicit. He also makes it explicit at the end of his article, or his argument. He says, I commend Dr. Brown for pushing gay marriage and pushing LGBT rights. I commend him. And the scholars of the past compartmentalize their differences. Okay, we have differences, but we can have a discussion and a debate, a civil discussion, and despite disagreement. So he makes it explicit that this is just difference of opinion. Okay? When in reality, his position should be, this is not a matter of discussion. How dare you? How dare you advance this? How dare you try to psyop the Muslim community? That should be the response. What I was saying. But no, Shadi came after me. Shadi came after me and is arguing against me. Yeah, at that time. This is October 17th, 2019. There's a big difference. This is Dr. Shadi on Twitter. There's a big difference between advocating something haram out of belief in it versus advocating haram because you feel there's a dire need. The former is kufr, the latter is an ijtihad and may not even be sinful. So he's talking about Jonathan Brown. It's an ijtihad. Okay, he's defending Brown advocating haram because there's a dire need. That's a valid ijtihad. Okay, there's a dire need for Muslims to support LGBT rights, okay, and gay marriage. So that's ijtihad. Okay. Now, is it a valid ijtihad? Was usul used properly? Was the person even a mufti to start with? Is the dire need real? Do the harms outweigh the benefits? All that can be discussed. What is there to discuss? All the answers are obvious. The answers are no, it's not a valid ijtihad. No, there is no usul that Jonathan Brown used. Okay, he doesn't even know it at that time. Maybe he's learned since then. There was no usul invoked. Okay, other than there was a common vision that we have with liberals. Was the perfect person even a mufti to start with? No. Is the dire need real? No, obviously. Okay, they were saying that, if we don't accept gay marriage, we're going to be put in concentration camps, basically. And they're going to dissolve all Muslim marriages. Just, this is an imaginary nightmare scenario to justify supporting LGBT. But at the core, we must separate the motive of the statement, belief versus fatwa due to need. And so all of this is defense of Jonathan Brown. That's the root issue with Yaqeen Institute paper. Some of the comments by Hayrachu may have inadvertently made it seem that Jonathan Brown is calling for support of LGBT as a matter of principle belief, in which case an outsider can't be blamed if they deem him a bid'i kafir. Okay, so an outsider can't be blamed if you deem Jonathan Brown a bid'i or a kafir, like a deviant or a kafir or a disbeliever? Okay, so then I responded to this. Okay, this is why I replied to Dr. Shadi. His tahrim is of homosexual acts. He does not do tahrim of supporting LGBT rights. In fact, he encourages it and bases it on the principle of common vision for America, as if that were a dalil, as if that were a valid reason. Like that's what Jonathan Brown argues. So it is on the basis of principle. And of course, I didn't make takfir of Jonathan Brown. And as Dr. Shadi says, he doesn't even have this position, but he hasn't publicly retracted. He hasn't publicly, as far as I can tell, said that this was wrong and apologized to me. Then Dr. Shadi responds, not in itself, though, but only due to a perceived dire need where the forbidden is rendered permissible. We can argue the validity of the claim, but it's clear that he is using the legitimate qaida of necessities permit the prohibited. Okay, so Shadi is saying this is a valid ijtihad. There's a qaida here. There's a principle. Legitimate principle here. Common cause, meaning common cause between Muslims and LGBT, can be debated. Oh, it can? But it's a moot point in the structure of his argument. What do you mean it's a moot point? Jonathan Brown explicitly says that the reason why Muslims should support LGBT is not actually because of dire need. Okay? He actually disqualifies that as a valid reason. He says that we should support it because we have a common vision for the future of America, of freedom and liberal rights. He's basically like a libertarian. He makes a libertarian argument. And because of our commitment to libertarianism, and we don't want the government to tell us who can and can't get married, that's why we support it. That's why we can support it. It's a common cause. Shadi says that it's not a part of his argument. That's the essence of it. That's the main principle of his argument. The real legal pivot point is darurat tubhi al-mahdurat. Okay, necessities permit the forbidden. That's the core of the claim. So that wasn't what Jonathan Brown actually argued. But the point is, why I'm showing you these receipts is to say that, yeah, Dr. Shadi, yes, you were defending Jonathan Brown. Yes, you were saying this is a valid point of ijtihad and disagreement. Yes, you were. Why are you denying it now and saying that I made a substantive error? You think like I forgot about all this? Maybe, I think Dr. Shadi has forgotten. That's why. I think he maybe forgot, like he has compartmentalized that few years where he was with these compassionate imams. Like maybe he's just like forgotten that, like bad memories. I get it. I don't think that Dr. Shadi is deliberately like misrepresenting this history. I think it just slipped his mind. Who's going to remember a tweet from October 2019? I remember it. Like I remember it because I was shocked. I was shocked and very saddened to see Dr. Shadi going to bat for nonsense. But I don't blame him if he forgot. And then there was another example. So another conversation that Hijab had. So Hijab interviewed me. Okay, this was in what year? I think this was 2019 as well. He interviewed me on his podcast, and I didn't want to talk about yaqeen, but Hijab brought up yaqeen, and we talked about it. I made my criticism of the LGBT paper. And then immediately after, he talks to Jonathan Brown and Shadi al-Masri. And I did like a 5-hour stream, like analyzing their response in depth. But it was funny because just like Adnan Rajit demanded the opportunity to respond, to come on and get on Hijab's podcast and respond to Daniel's lies, Yaqeen did the same thing. Like they demanded, we have to come on to your podcast, Hijab, to respond to Daniel's lies. Same thing. And it was a disaster. Like, that's why I have to give my props to Muhammad Hijab. Like, he really, and the thing is, I pointed this out, is like he's very calm in how he's talking to these people, but he still pushes on their inconsistencies and he makes them look really bad. So if you're interested in like the full analysis that I did, you can go check, one of the early Muslim skeptic videos on this channel. Anyway, look at what Shadi says in the beginning here.
Wait, hang on. I would just want to say I actually completely agree with you, right? So that's exactly the kind of ground we wanted to feel out in this discussion. Sorry,
Okay,
go ahead, Shadi.
Yeah, Shadi, what's your position? Yeah,
it's a very important point, that Jonathan making, and what he's not doing, it's not separating between religion and politics, but it's really separating between what's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura and what is up for what's a nazila, a new matter that requires maybe some qiyas or ijtihad.
Translate the word, sorry.
A nazila is a new matter that we are facing right now, which requires an ijtihad. We're not talking about ijtihad like the four madhabs level ijtihad, but we are forced to make a qiyas based upon, and we're forced to make a decision. So what that does is it removes the difference of opinion from one of which would render a person like a kafir rejecting that which is known in religion, zindiq. So it removes it from that and brings it into the sphere of a difference of opinion. I might feel that you're holding something that's sinful. But
Shadi, there's one thing I would want to just kind of probe you on.
So there is Shadi, in his own words, saying like this topic of supporting gay marriage and supporting LGBT rights, that's the whole topic of the podcast, we've brought into the realm of ijtihad. Because this is a nazila, this is a new matter. And we have our muftis, our mujtahids, I guess, doing ijtihad on it. And they'll come to different conclusions. That's how he's framing the whole thing. And that is very problematic. That's very problematic. And I'm sure that he doesn't agree with that today. Okay, literally again. And this podcast was such a train wreck for both of them that he's saying, like the infamous quote of Jonathan Brown, like, I don't support gay marriage, I support marriage for gay people. Like stuff like that, like, so
he can't. I'm basically saying, Uncle Sam, don't make tashri'ah. So that's actually a valid position, right? The secondary consequences of that may be, certain things that are halal, certain things that are crazy, right? Haram. But
so here now Shadi is even going beyond, like he's actually arguing Jonathan Brown's point for him, like the libertarian argument that, my position might be to the US government, don't do tashri'ah. Like, don't say marriage has to be like this or that. Like, don't just lay off. Don't define these things. And that if that means that gay marriage is allowed, okay, that might be a negative consequence, but that's not in my hands. So this kind of logic, this kind of libertarianism that was being promoted, like this, actually Shadi was defending this. And that's Jonathan Brown's whole point. That's Jonathan Brown's whole point. That's why it's a defense of gay marriage, supporting gay marriage and all of these new laws that were being introduced. LGBT discrimination, like businesses can't reject baking a cake because if you say I'm not going to bake your cake for your gay wedding, that's discrimination. That's homophobia. That we have to force them to bake the cake, force them to bake the gay marriage cake. Like all of these things were being legislated at that time. These are part of gay rights, LGBT rights, and Yaqeen at the time pushing it with their article. Jonathan Brown explicitly trying to give a very clumsy explanation or defense of it, which is just amounts to libertarianism. And unfortunately, Shadi coming on as like someone who is supposed to be a more traditional Islamic scholar and saying that, well, this is valid ikhtilaf. I might not disagree, but it's a matter of ijtihad. So yeah, I was very upset. I was very opposed to this. Went to war against this. Did a 5-hour live stream reaction. That was like on a cheap webcam and terrible mic, terrible sound quality. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that was happening. So I mean, again, I didn't want to relitigate all of this. Okay. Oh, well, the final point. What happened to that article? Okay. What happened? Oh no! This is the article. There's Dr. Jonathan Brown and Dr. Shadi Al-Masri, published in December 2017. Okay. Yaqeen Institute. Where is it? Oh, it's also been archived. It's also been archived. Oh no! What's the reason for archiving it, I wonder? Let's see. What's the reason? I'll just expand it so it's easier to read. In 2021, they update. Following a debate that took place at Amja in 2016 regarding how American Muslims could maintain their commitment to Islam's normative position on marriage and sexuality while also practically navigating the political challenges in the United States associated with defending Muslim safety and religious rights against rising Islamophobia. Okay, so they're already framing it like, oh, we have to balance the Islamic normative position and balance the safety of Muslims. So if you don't support LGBT and gay marriage, your safety is in question. Okay. So in light of that, following a debate that took place in 2016, Yaqeen Institute published a scholarly debate on the subject between Jonathan Brown and Shadi Al-Masri. Brown, who had already published his views elsewhere, stridently upheld the orthodox Islamic sexual norms. He's a champion for the Islamic norms. Support gay marriage. Support LGBT rights. He's a strident. Following other leading Islamic scholars. Oh, he was following all the Islamic scholars at the, like Sherman Jackson. Speaking at the DNC, the leading American Islamic scholars advocated the path of political accommodation to secure reciprocal rights for Muslims as a religious minority. Again, that's not what his argument was. He was making a principled libertarianism argument, okay? And he actually said, I don't want to make that kind of tit for tat argument. We scratch their back, they scratch ours, because I believe in principles. Okay. Because if you said that, okay, as a Muslim, I support your LGBT rights because I don't want you to throw me into a concentration camp. They can say that, okay, Muslims are just opportunistic. Like Muslims don't actually believe in LGBT. Muslims don't actually believe in our rights. They're just being opportunistic. They're just self-concerned. They only worrying about themselves. They're not true allies. So Jonathan Brown, anticipating that, says, no, I'm principled. I think we have a common vision. We have a common vision for America. It's not a tit for tat. It's not a quid pro quo. But, rewriting history, Yaqeen says, oh, he wanted political accommodation to secure reciprocal rights. Blatant lie. Even in their retractions, they lie. Shadi Al-Masri argued that no such accommodation is warranted given the subsequent cultural and political developments. What political developments were those, I wonder? Okay, is it the fact that the Democrats dumped you guys? Like the Democrats, shut off the money supply, stop inviting you to Congress? Like what was it actually that the subsequent cultural and political developments, like between 2017 and 2021, Dr. Brown no longer holds this position. He agrees that his earlier treatment of the subject has been rendered obsolete by Supreme Court rulings that entrench and enforce understandings of sexual and gender identity in law. What? So the Supreme Court decisions were from Obergefell, like in 2016. That predates your article about gay marriage, Jonathan Brown. So what kind of Supreme Court decisions were made that make your arguments obsolete? This is nonsense. This is like a word salad. So Yaqeen doesn't take responsibility for promoting gay marriage, for promoting LGBT rights. They don't take responsibility for it. They just rewrite history. They archive, in the archives, the old archives in Dallas, where they're keeping, they're housing these relics, these relics of brilliant ijtihad. That's where this stuff is. It's being archived in Dallas. Okay. So anyway, this is outrageous to me. This is outrageous. In the same way that Adnan's trash, we were outraged by it. It makes you sick to your stomach. I'm also outraged by it. The compassionate imams, no accountability for their trash. Like no one held them accountable. Okay, let's be honest. Like, who else was talking about them? Who else was putting their feet to the fire? Who else forced them? Like, basically forced them, because every Pride Month, every June, I would roll out a salvo of critique against Yaqeen because the article was up for so long, for years, until they relented. Like, I had to bully these people. People say, "Oh, Daniel, you're so harsh. Daniel, why can't you be more polite? This is not the way, Daniel. This is not the way. Where's the respect? Where's the adab?" You don't know anything about adab. You don't know anything about the sunnah. You don't know anything about these topics. Just shut up. Just go follow the compassion imams. Simp for them. Simp for the simp imams. It suits you. But I get results. Okay? I get results, alhamdulillah, by the permission of Allah. I get results. My method gets results. That's all I can say. Like, look at the scoreboard. They have to take their articles down and then, like, slink away, tail between their legs. "Oh, we archived it. We archived it, guys. That's why it's no longer available. Not because Daniel curb stomped us. Not because Daniel curb stomped us and humiliated us for years. We archived it because it's just obsolete now. There's a Supreme Court ruling that made it obsolete. There's new discoveries in evolution that made the article about human evolution obsolete. That's why we have to archive it." Dishonest scum, trash. This is why, like, the compassionate imams, they didn't really learn anything. They didn't actually substantively change. If they changed, where is the regret? Where is the feeling of mistake that you made? You made a mistake. You misled the Muslims. Why aren't you trying to correct that? All the Muslims who read the article and that affected their understanding of the issue, like basically a generation that you ruined with these ideas, where is the sense of rectifying that? Where's the islah? Like, why haven't you actually made it clear why you took down the articles? Why didn't John Fontucky and Tahir Wyatt, bootlicker, come out and say, "Actually, we were wrong for calling Daniel a liar. The article was trash. We didn't read it at the time because we're illiterate apes, and we were wrong. We're sorry we misled you. We're sorry that we promoted this trash, this deviance to you, while pretending like we're Aqidah warriors. We care so much about Aqidah." Yeah, where is the regret? Where is the sense of accountability? Where is the... Because on Yom Al-Qiyamah, some Muslim can come and say, like, I supported gay marriage. I supported LGBT rights. I believe that, you know, we're evolved from apes, okay? Because I read it on Yaqeen Institute. Omar Suleiman's Yaqeen Institute, Ashraf Motiwala, these board members. I read it from their institute, and there was no retraction. There was no correction. They just allowed me to have this belief, and I died upon it. So, if someone were concerned about their akhirah, they're concerned about being judged and accountability, they would come out and speak and correct their error. Khalid is sending me verses of the Quran from Surah Al-Baqarah. As for those who repent, mend their ways, and let the truth be known, they are the ones to whom I will turn in forgiveness, for I am the acceptor of repentance, most merciful. This is what Allah is saying. So it's repent and mend your ways, okay, and let the truth be known. Yaqeen hasn't done that. They've hidden the truth. They haven't said out loud, oh, what we had on our website and what we're promoting and what we're defending for years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, is wrong. And it was a mistake. This is the correct position. That is what is required. Okay, Islah. They don't do that. They lie about it. Okay, you don't even have to apologize to me. I'm a nice person. Okay, you don't need to apologize to me. That'd be nice after you blackened my name, called me a liar for years. But those who reveal what they had concealed. They don't reveal what they had concealed. They lie about it. Okay. That is our show. Let's look at the super chats now. Long show, I know. How should Muslims respond to citizen vigilante? It's gonna take a long time to get into those details. This is the anti-Muslim immigrant movie that came out. Just protect yourselves, protect your families. Through legal means. It's getting increasingly hostile to Muslims, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's what you got to know. So I want to do a show actually on this because you have a bunch of the same usual suspects, the compassionate imams, like their response is, we have to just promote the idea that it's a melting pot. America and the West, it's just a melting pot and everyone is welcome. We just have to promote plurality and LGBT, like literally, like these kinds of themes. Like they're still stuck as if it's still 2016 or 2017. And they think that the same political lines that they got from Barack Obama are going to work now. It's like, where have you been, retard? Like, the liberal line, the pro-immigrant line has been destroyed by nationalism, by populism. So Abdullah says, Abu Ibrahim is part of I3 Institute and you two have a lot in common, but what's the need for Salafism label? Why not just be Hanbali Athari? Ash'aris, Hanafis don't have this additional label. Well, whatever. Like, what matters is the substance of your beliefs. Abu Ibrahim, yes, now I recall, like, this brother. If it's who I think you're talking about, I don't know if he's associated with I3 Institute. If it's who I'm thinking of. But if it is who I'm thinking of, he's a good brother and he has a lot of good ideas, mashallah. And yeah, there might be opportunities for me to talk to him more, collaborate, inshallah. Hamza says, Muhammad Hijab gave Adnan a shut up call at the end. It was shameless of Adnan to be so unjust. Whenever you mention Yaqeen, I have to go spit. Thank you. Me too. I mean, I have to spit as well. Also, bro, your thoughts on Khadim Rizvi and engineer Muhammad Ali. I don't follow these people because they speak in Urdu. So I don't know, like it's difficult for me to go to the primary sources. And they say that they have some reformist views, some anti-hadith views, anti-madhab views. So obviously I'm against that. I'm against those who are so anti-madhab, anti-Islamic tradition. I'm pro-madhab. Captain Caliphate says, not gonna lie, I think there's gonna be a resurgence of leftism among American Muslims due to the most zealous Palestine activists being far leftists. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well. Dawa Trucker, how's it going, bro? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything is well with your family. Anyone who makes halal what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam has made haram and then pushes it and supports it in itself is disbelief that can take the one who does it out of the fold of Islam. Even worse, done to uphold secular belief. Yeah, there's a very definite danger. Obviously, we have to be careful about takfir, but in principle, the idea of pushing something as halal that Allah has made haram, or vice versa, something is haram that Allah has made halal. Like those who say that, oh, having multiple wives is haram. Okay, this in and of itself is kufr. This is kind of disbelief. Sammy says the crass political trade-off is like how Quraysh proposed, hey, how about we worship idols on some days and Allah alone on other days? Rejected. Absolutely. DJ Sima says, don't change, Daniel. You're spot on. Appreciate it. Thank you, DJ. Famo says, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. I heard a Medkhali telling a Palestinian, why criticize other Muslim governments? Go back to your country and fight for it. Yeah, bro. I mean, that's what these Medkhalis do. Actually, you know, they say, don't go fight for it. I guess they say both. Like the Medkhali scholars say that, no, actually, they shouldn't fight for it. They should just allow the Zionists to take over. The Medkhalis are not in support of Palestinian resistance at all. And they haven't been historically. Their scholars are opposed to Palestinian resistance. They think that the Palestinians should just like roll over and die, or make hijra, leave Palestine, just whatever Israel wants. Like, let Israel just take whatever it wants. And they promote that because that's in the benefit of the Gulf monarchies that are allied with the Zionists, or with the United States, or both. YC says, me not watching my GOAT Ronaldo at World Cup, instead enjoying this masterpiece stream. Appreciate it. Is Ronaldo playing right now? May Allah guide Ronaldo and have him accept Islam. I mean, I don't know. I just like Ronaldo. I'm not a soccer fan or a football fan in the sense that I follow. Like, I haven't even followed the World Cup. Like, even the Iranian game versus Iran versus Egypt, I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights after the fact. I do think that Iran was robbed. Okay, don't tell me about these offside rules and, oh, the goalie came forward, so it's an offside technically. Like, come on, man. The actual image that was created to show that, oh, just like a half an inch of his foot in front, like that didn't seem like it was camera footage. That seemed like it was a reconstruction. And there's some kind of technology that is determining that. And that's something that can be gamed. It's something that can be exaggerated. It depends on the angle of the camera. So call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a lot of strange calls that come out, especially with Iran. Like, they've had multiple goals called off. Anyway, I'm happy for any Muslim country that succeeds. Egypt, Morocco, I hear is doing really well. So, and I like Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh, you know what I used to play a lot of, by the way? Much more than watching soccer, I used to play FIFA. FIFA on Xbox. PlayStation 2, I played FIFA. But I played the OG FIFA on Super Nintendo. Imagine that. By myself, because back then I didn't have like a multiplayer. It wasn't like online Xbox Live or anything to play with people. Just play by myself. FIFA, I think it was FIFA 96. FIFA 96 for the Super Nintendo. Play that as a child. And back then, yeah, I'd be either Brazil mostly. Yeah. Good old days. Simpler times. Hamza says, love you, bro. Make dua for us all. May Allah bless you and protect you and preserve you and all of us and our families. Ameen. Keep us firm on the truth. Ameen. Captain Caliphate, wonder if another 30-plus Sheikhul Islam document coming for hijab now. Yeah, maybe. The Dawah personalities, like, that was also a funny part of the stream that I didn't mention, like how he was crying about, oh, we were victimized by Daniel. Oh, and we were so victimized that we had to write a document condemning him. Oh, it's like you and a bunch of nobody losers and Ali Dawah got together and signed a document, the global Dawah personalities, that I'm a mushrik, that I promote shirk, and you disavow me and you wash your hands of me, and I'm and you're the victim, not me. It's unbelievable. The gall of these people is outrageous. Outrageous, people. Muslim Boogeyman says Sega was better. I don't think so, bro. Super Nintendo is definitely better. GameCube was like, I was already in high school and too busy to play video games at that point. Daniel is old as expletive. Yeah, I'm telling you guys, I'm an old man. Okay. People are saying, oh, have some respect for Adnan Rajit. He's your elder. Like, we're in the same generation. It's not that much older than me. I'm an old fart. Let's see. Messi is the better player. Excuse me? He's a wall kisser. He's a wall licker. Wii. Oh, I remember Nintendo Wii. That was by the time I was in college. It was like the new thing. Like you can, it's like motion detecting. The Wii remote. What was it called? Wand. It was a wand. Xbox 360, baby. Halo. Okay, Halo 3 specifically. Halo 3. We played a lot. I played a lot of Halo 3 in graduate school. Instead of doing my, studying for my exams, playing Halo at Harvard and in Boston. Daniel, are you good at chess? I'm okay. My kids are pretty good. How are you and Adnan the same age, brah? I didn't say I was the same age, but it's not that big of a difference. Like, I'm in my 40s now. I'm in my 40s. So, and when you get 40, like, that's a different stage of life, basically. Even, like, according to Arab culture, like the traditional Arab culture in the time of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like, when you reach 40, like, you're matured as a man. It's a milestone at age 40. So yeah, and that's in Hijri years. So I'm in my 40s in Hijri years, in like lunar years, I should say, lunar calendar, and solar calendar. I'm in both calendars. I'm in my 40s. So I'm an elder now. You have to call me Unc. Sonic the Hedgehog. I never played Sonic. I played Mario. Ronaldo has been to Israel as well. No, you're ruining my image of Ronaldo as a pro-Palestinian Chad. PS2 was GOAT. Yeah, a lot of people like PS2. I had PS1. I mean, I didn't have it, but it came out when I was a kid. PS1, and it was supposed to blow away Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Age of Empires 2, yes. Now we're talking. That's my game. Age of Empires 2. That's why I watch Hera. How did you get into Harvard? Good question. Very good question. I play StarCraft and Diablo. Original StarCraft or StarCraft 2? Are you Korean? It's Korean Muslim skeptic fan. Metal Gear Solid. I never played that. Legit thought Daniel was 29. No, man, I'm old. Kaka Daniel. Kaka, I assume that's your Afghan or your Persian. Kaka is like the Shirazi word. This is like from Shiraz. It's not even standard Farsi. It means brother. Brother Daniel. Amu Daniel. Gears of War 3, never played that. Dawa Trucker says, I wonder if those who push to make an alliance with the disbelievers, especially the Christians at the end of time, will be on with it since they refuse to unite with Muslims today. I don't know. Allahu Alam. So we'll see. Fandom is tired. He wants to sleep. Go to sleep, bro. I'm not going to bring in any new comments or any new topics. I'm just going to talk about video games, basically. I need a palate cleanser. I need something light to talk about since we got into such... And I was so angry, and so I was just like, even using expletives that I don't use generally. That's how angry I was. I need a palate cleanser. I need to talk about like something fun and reminisce about my childhood, the SNES, FIFA. Give me this, bro. Did you see Shamsi criticizing Sneeko about Karbala? I haven't seen the clip yet. I think Sneeko messaged me about it. But I haven't actually seen the clip. About visiting Karbala. But yeah, I told you, these Wahhabis are takfiring Sneeko now. They're attacking him nonstop. How do you keep your skin good? Allahu A'lam, that's a good question. Like, because I have oily skin. Like I'm a greaseball. Like I'm this swarthy, greasy Middle Easterner, and my skin is naturally like oily. Like that's why it looks glazy, like on camera. Even I have to like constantly wipe. I have to wipe my face. It's not like moisturizer. I have natural moisturizer. So don't give me hasad, bro. Say mashallah. Say mashallah. I don't have those wrinkles yet. Streets of Rage. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out for $100. Oh, it's our friend Brad. How's it going, Brad? I remember when Grand Theft Auto came out. I was in high school, I think. But by high school, I wasn't really playing many video games. I was really into basketball. When I was in high school, I was really into basketball and just academics. So I was playing a lot of ball, basically. And I was skinny. I was really skinny back then. Could dunk a basketball because I was playing a few hours every day. Then I got fat. Then I became a fatty. Can Daniel speak Persian? Yes. I can speak Farsi and understand it. Daniel, what's your glow stack? Yeah. Again, like, it's just the natural oiliness of my skin. I only wash my face with water. Water and, like, very basic soap that doesn't have chemicals or anything. Did you ever play Super Metroid? Yeah, I played Super Metroid. But the thing about Super Metroid is that it's like a person in a spacesuit, but the person it turns out to be a woman. They were putting this kind of feminist stuff in games back then, even with the Super Nintendo. So you expect like Super Metroid to be like a man, like a burly spaceman astronaut or whatever, fighting aliens. Turns out to be a woman. Bro, what's the difference between Yazid and these Nejdis? They have a lot in common, I think. We need democracy on Daniel's face. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna invade. You definitely need women's rights on my face. You need women's rights, and you need democracy on my face. Trump is gonna declare Operation Free Daniel's face. Get access to that oil. GTA India looks promising. I think we all need more soy in our diet. What are you saying, Muslim Boogeyman? I'm not following the facetiousness. Daniel, when you were heaviest, were you eating healthy or eating a lot of junk food? I was eating healthy, but it's about portion control. Don't really eat out much. Like, it's just a matter of portion control. Alhamdulillah, I'm losing weight now. The weight loss journey, it's a long journey. Long struggle, but I think I got some good things going on, alhamdulillah, now. With portion control is like the biggest thing. So I'm gonna, when I get closer to my goals, okay, because I've been yo-yoing a little bit. Maybe you've noticed that with the weight. So when I get closer to my goals, I'm gonna share the details of the journey. Maybe I'm gonna start a new channel. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and they suggested you should have like a fitness channel. I was like, okay, well, I have to get skinnier, get more in shape to start a fitness channel. But maybe that's going to be, Muslim Skeptic Fitness. And I'll give you all my tips and tricks. John Bolton says, please have Kevork El-Messian from Syrian Analysis sometime in your show. That'd be awesome. Yeah, maybe. Women don't belong in video games. It's Gamergate. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Let's go. Adnan doing the work to get on in the Epstein list. Played FIFA as a millennial. Definitely had a great childhood. Yeah, I'm a millennial. Famo says it's worse, Akhi. The Wahhabis claim Palestinians sold their land to the Jews and moved to the West, said they should go back and fight instead of criticizing MBS, etc. Yeah, it's despicable. Muslim Boogeyman, I'm on the same journey, lost almost 10 kgs in 3 months. That's amazing. That's, let's say that's 24 pounds or 25 pounds in 3 months. That's a lot. That's great. I've lost, in the past 6 weeks, I've lost 12 pounds. So that's like 6 kg. About less than 1 kg a week. Daniel, inspiring philosophy, said he was furious in your debate and it took all his willpower to not come at you. So what's that short little dork gonna do? LOL. Yeah, the guy is like maybe 150 not even 150, maybe 140 pounds soaking wet. Like he's almost half my size. So he was holding himself back. It didn't really show, did it? Like, he didn't seem like he was that angry. Thanks, bro. Yexi for the super chat. Daniel, do you still watch basketball? I caught some of the NBA finals this year. I talked about it in a previous show. Okay, my brothers, I'm happy that we got a chance to connect because I know I haven't been doing much in terms of shows. Oh, this is nice. One Up Slime says, I went from being 361 pounds to 225. Took me about a year and a half. I used to play football. That's awesome, bro. Great job, mashallah. That is significant. That is really significant. 100 and almost 140 pounds. That's amazing, mashallah. And you just feel so much better. Like when you're overweight, you have all these problems, like health problems, obviously, but your bones ache, your joints ache. You get random, like you wake up in the morning and you have pain when you're overweight because your body has to carry so much extra pounds. So there's so many benefits to losing weight, and you can do it. You just have to take the first step. And it's really psychological. Like that's what I've learned in my experience, very deliberately trying to lose weight. And the main thing, just to explain it, is counting calories initially to understand like how much of a surplus in food you're eating. Once you get a good understanding of your calories in and you reduce it, that's like half the journey. That's half the journey, is actually knowing how many calories you're putting in your mouth and how calorie dense certain foods are. People have no idea. People have no idea that when they eat, like even a date, like some of these dates that you eat, like for iftar, like some of them have a lot of calories, like 80 calories in a single date. So if you eat 5 of them, that's 400 calories. And you might think that, oh, it's nothing, it's just 5 dates. But you just downed, anywhere from 300 to 400 calories. That's a lot, especially if the amount of calories that you're burning in a day is only 2,000, let's say. 2,000 calories in a day you're burning, but you're already consuming 400 just from 5 dates. Or you're drinking. A lot of people are getting a lot of their calories from drinks. A lot of people get a lot of calories from condiments. Okay, so when you count calories, that helps you understand, and you have to be like scientific about it, like actually measure your food, look at labels, see exactly what you're eating. You need to do that for at least a month, actually, so that and then you get like an instinct and a sense of like how many calories that you're eating, and then you won't have to be as precise about it later because you've just educated yourself, and you typically eat the same foods like over long periods of time. And that's the first step, is knowing how much calories are coming in to like maintain your weight. And that's another thing, weighing yourself, stepping on a scale every day, at least once a day. That's really critical, and people don't do that. I don't do that. That's my mistake. Whenever I start gaining weight, okay, if you start saying, Daniel, you're looking a little chubby, what you can immediately know is that Daniel's not stepping on the scale on a daily basis. That's the reason. And you can say, Daniel, check the scale, and you can cook me and roast me and bully me into losing weight. But stepping on the scale so that okay, I ate this much calories today, this many calories today, and my weight went up by half a pound or a quarter of a pound. Okay, I need to reduce my calories in. And you do that. You reduce your calories because you're measuring it every single day. Everything that you put in your mouth, everything that you drink. And then once you get like a feel for that, then you can make smart substitutions for what you eat. Because certain foods are going to be denser, or they're going to be more fibrous, and they're going to stay in your stomach longer because they're harder to digest because they have a lot of fiber, and you won't get as hungry as much. Whereas other foods, you eat a lot of it, it has a lot of calories, and you're still not satiated. junk foods are like that. Processed foods are like that. Sweets are like that. Certain simple carbs are like that. So you start making smart substitutions. Instead of drinking the soft drink, you drink, a 0 calorie, 0 sweetener, what's it called? Spring water or soda water that has no sweetener, but it's like lightly flavored and it tastes delicious. You like get used to it. 0 calories instead of drinking the Coke, drinking the Pepsi, drinking the Mountain Dew, Sprite. You make smart decisions. That's like the beginning of your journey to weight loss, and you can lose. I lost over 50 pounds doing that. Then I hit a plateau, and then I fell off for a while. I got back on, fell off, etc. So it's a war. Like, you're fighting yourself, you're fighting your psychology, you're fighting your habits, you're fighting your lifestyle. And it's a difficult challenge. That's why a lot of people like resort to some of these new drugs like Ozempic. And whenever people ask me about it, I say, don't do it. You can lose the weight without the drugs. You don't know the side effects of these drugs. Some of the side effects are really bad. And I was just talking to a friend about some of these side effects. He's taking these drugs, the GLP, and he was saying that, I've lost a lot of weight, but I just don't have any motivation to do anything. Like, it's affected me psychologically, and things taste bland. I'm not looking forward to a good meal. It's like psychologically had an effect on me. And yeah, that's like a mild side effect. There are much worse side effects. Like, people go blind using these drugs. And you can lose just as much weight. It'll take longer, and it will require more willpower, require more effort, but your quality of life will actually improve if you do it the natural way, as opposed to doing the drugs, to doing the peptides or whatever. But yeah, it's not easy. It's a long-term war, and you win some of the battles, you lose some of the battles. It's important to, another thing that I learned is it's good to have like a cheat day. But as long as you don't go insane on your cheat day, because you can recoup all of your calorie deficit in one day if you really go wild. Especially someone like me, I like to eat, so I can recoup all those calories for a week that I've been at a deficit in a single day. So the cheat day, it has to be more like a cheat meal, and the cheat meal itself has to be like carefully portioned. But it's good, like, for willpower, to some days give yourself a break. Or even give yourself a week off. If you've been doing it for months at a time, you've been dieting, give yourself a break. That will recharge your willpower to continue with your diet. Anyway, it's totally doable. It's totally feasible. It's not that complicated. I'll give you all the information at some point. Maybe I'll have a second channel, Muslim Skeptic Fitness, and we'll talk about it. But that's just some tips for you. 10,000 steps a day helps. Yeah, if you're active, but I wouldn't start a new exercise program at the same time you're doing a diet. It's like you're doing a new diet. Because a lot of people, when they start dieting and they start exercising at the same time, where they don't have a handle on their diet, they end up being more hungry. Your appetite actually increases when you exercise. So you end up eating more and you gain weight. It's counterintuitive. I just started exercising. I've never been active in my life, but now I'm active. I'm working out a few hours a week, and I'm actually gaining weight. Well, you're gaining weight because you have more of an appetite, because you're burning calories, but your body is giving you the signal that you need more food. And especially because exercise sometimes triggers cortisol. Cortisol, like this kind of stress hormone in your body. And if you have a psychological response to stress, to eat, which a lot of people do because they're emotional eaters, like, it's something that everyone gets into because of the stresses of the modern world. Like, they just, okay, I have a hard day at work. In the limited amount of time I have before I have to go to bed for another day of work tomorrow, early in the morning, I just have a little amount of time, and I'm going to eat. I'm going to enjoy myself. And so it's like a psychological, you're rewarding yourself with a delicious meal, and you enjoy that. So you're creating a kind of feedback loop. And so when you exercise, it creates a stress hormone, the cortisol, and then that triggers you to eat more. And so you start gaining weight after you exercise. Even though you're exercising a lot, you're burning a lot of calories, but you're just recouping it all, and then some and more. So it's better not to start exercising at the same time as starting a diet. Wait until you get a handle on your calories. You're able to control that, and then start working in exercise, especially like exercise that makes you sweat. If it's just like walking around the block, that's great. Do that. That's not going to spike your cortisol. But if you are lifting weights or you're doing any kind of like zone 2 or zone 3 cardio, then you're gonna start increasing your cortisol, and that's gonna increase your appetite. Okay. Anywho, appreciate you guys in the chat and all the super chats. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I won't be back until next week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I really need to finish my book. You guys are distracting me. Adnan Rajid is distracting me from my book. Shame on you guys. Shame on them. But we'll be back next week, bi'idhnillah. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. The link is in the description below. And leave me a comment. Don't forget to like the stream. Sign up for the newsletter to see any summary of the articles that we're publishing. I'm going to publish actually a long article on the concept of taqiyya. Taqiyya for Shia and taqiyya for Sunnis. What have Sunni scholars said about taqiyya? And it's also going to look at what Christians and Jews say about taqiyya, actually. It's a pretty cool article. That'll be published if I do say so myself. I think you'll enjoy it. And it's a little bit longer, but has a lot of information. That's going to be published this week. And yeah, great articles from Beria, from Cryptocranium. Follow them on X if you haven't already. And we will see you on the next stream. Bi'idhnillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.